Over the next few hours, the demon proceeds to destroy the planets of the forces of light and dark, along with the 12 kids' planets in between. Barred from the universe they've created, they explore the Meteor and its various secrets. In a room resembling a computer lab, Terezi and Solix discover via mysterious electronic money transfer that a group of 4 alien kids in that very universe have begun playing the same game. The universe within a universe concept is part of what makes Homestuck an especially difficult story to put into chronological order, because here we've got an entire existence, start to finish, contained in what is basically a cosmic cassette tape, and from the outside can be viewed any location at any point in time. So let us venture into the beginnings of this universe, with stars and galaxies that, when viewed from a particular point in space, form constellations that will come to be interpreted as symbols, mirroring the insignias associated with the 12 troll kids. And in that particular point in space resides a particular planet, inhabited by a particular species that will refer to that planet as Earth. About 413 million years before the Earth's end, a Skyan meteor hosting a frog temple hits a volcanic mountain range, and the crater is filled with magma. From this magma, the first guardian of this universe emerges, a dog-like creature who will eventually be named Becquerel. Over time, the mountain range becomes an island. We'll come back to this island momentarily. A little over 100 years before the end, there lives a colonel who is world-renowned as a legendary prankster, his dog, and his wife, who is an inhuman witch, owners of the Betty Crocker brand. A meteor hits near their home, blessing them with a baby girl. And a few days later, another meteor with a baby boy, killing the colonel in the process and leaving the witch to raise the now fatherless children. Turns out, this witch is the Condess herself, having taken refuge in this universe. As teenagers, the siblings grow tired of their wicked upbringing under the witch's cruelty, so the brother flees home, absconding with the late colonel's dog, while the sister stays behind. She devotes herself to learning all of the witch's baking recipes and colonel's pranks, while the brother devotes himself to adventure and fame, eventually settling on that volcanic island somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. The witch mysteriously disappears one day, and the sister moves to a quiet town in Washington state, opens up a joke shop, and has a son, who will grow up to be a proper gentleman with no given name we know of. We'll call him Mr. Egbert for now. About 40 years before the end, another meteor strikes, leaving a mutant kitten with a baby girl that will grow up to be a massively successful scientist and raging alcoholic. About 10 years later, another meteor strikes, leaving a baby boy accompanied by that same creepy dummy from before, this time garbed in a purple Dream Self shirt. The boy will grow up to be a master of the martial arts, the ironic arts, and puppeteering, and the dummy will be given new clothing and the name Lil Cal. In case you hadn't guessed, these meteors came from the new game session, an insipisphere separate from the one in which we saw the Troll Kids play. Getting closer to the present, 4 more meteors strike the Earth in about a 3-month span, leaving these 4 characters each with an infant child to look after. First, a girl with a patched bunny doll landing on the famous adventurer's volcanic island, and she is named Jade Harley. Next, a boy accompanied by a pony with a pink bow and heart-shaped cutie mark crashes in Houston, Texas, and is immediately given a pair of rad sunglasses and taken in by the ironic puppeteering ninja dude, and he is named Dave Strider. Another meteor brings a girl with a filthy bunny plush, landing on the US East Coast, adopted by the science lady and given the name Rose Lalonde. Last but not least, a meteor carrying a young boy with a copy of the Colonel's legendary joke book crashes into the humble prank store in Washington state, destroying both it and the now old sister that owns it, leaving Mr. Egbert without a mother and with a newfound son. This event is witnessed by Miss Lalonde and her months-old daughter, and these 2 adults, while their present meeting is brief, are destined to meet again someday. These 4 kids grow up with questionable upbringings. While Jade is still a toddler, playing with guns results in the death of her adopted father, or grandpa as she knows him. She is to be raised by his crazy inventions, along with Becquerel, who has a resemblance to the old Colonel's dog. One such invention is the Dreambot, a humanoid robot connected to her consciousness that does things for her while she is asleep. Dave is constantly subject to intense physical training by the man he comes to know as his bro, raised on a diet of pizza and junk food. Rose, with her financially successful and functionally alcoholic mother, grows to be the classic snarky, rebellious, passive-aggressive teen with a good sense of irony and sarcasm. As a youngster, Jade receives a birthday package from a friend she has not yet made, containing pumpkin seeds, a shirt meant to fit her 13-year-old self, and a heartfelt letter. She'll eventually connect with her 3 friends through a chat client called PesterChum, plus a version of her grandpa from an alternate universe. Borrowing inspiration from his ironic master of a bro, Dave publishes a webcomic called Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff, an opus of shittiness. As a tyke, Rose is having an imaginary therapy session with her cat Jaspers as the pretend client. He whispers a secret in her ear and mysteriously disappears, only to show up again dead by the lakefront. Rose's mom has him embalmed, stuffed, and placed in a casket in an above-ground tomb in the backyard of their exquisite science mansion. Rose also develops knitting as a hobby. One of her first projects is taking her dirty old bunny plush and adding purple wool patches. Jade's dream self awakens on Prospect, and she gets all kinds of sweet visions on the future. Her and her friends continue to exchange gifts, including genuine Hollywood memorabilia. Rose inherits her mother's affinity for wizards and begins writing a fantasy novel. A popular software/game developer announces the beta release of a game called Spurb, and at some point during her dreams, Jade comes to the conclusion that this game will be very important to play. She writes letters to be received in the future by her friends and also certain agents of the Black and White Kingdoms. All of these events are observable by the troll kids stuck on their meteor, and they contact the human kids at various points on their timeline. Karkat watches one of the kids straight through from birth to the end of the universe, i.e. his entire lifespan, and develops an unfathomable rage towards this human. He reaches out to him at the very end of that timeline, opening the message with a legendary rant, and proceeds to work his way backwards through it in a very confusing exchange between the 2 major characters. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got to cover the rest of that timeline before we get there, which finally brings us to the very beginning of our story.